your servo for the elevator or your cyclic function here. You want to make sure that part with the opening right here faces the frame itself, carbon frames. So let's flip this over. Take that out, drop this in, push that down. And that's so those wires can pass through from the motor. So let's do that. Elevator servo mount. Legs face away from the servo. Please note orientation. Wanted to come back, as I mentioned previously, on the servo here, you want this gap, this recess, to face the frame like this. The reason you want to is so when you install your motor, that wire can pass through there. So let me pull this servo wire down below, like so. And then we're gonna make sure we don't hurt our wires. Push that one down from the motor. And that's gonna go, push this over, down. Okay. Alright, so see if you can see the wire here once I get this straightened out. Alright, here, let me do this first. I'm going to put the servo here, the servo wire, put this straight down like that. So that way that's out of the way. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get these self-tapping screws. Insert that here. Get these started here. Alright, we're doing the servo install here, just in case you're just tuning in, and we're probably at the last stage of the servo installation here. Got the last servo going in and getting everything lined up, and then we're going to drop the motor in. As mentioned previously, the motor wasn't Loctited because we knew we were going to have to pop it out in order to pop this servo in. When you're tightening these screws down, these self-tapping screws, just get it so that that plastic plate that holds the frame, or nylon I should say, nylon, is snug to the surface, and that's it. Don't overdo it. Just snug and you should be good. Alright, so that wire is going straight down. We're going to route this wire. I go ahead and do it without the motor in there. Go ahead and route that forward. Okay. You can pull this back and then go straight down here. turn it so you can see here. If you have big fingers, there's always hemostats. Alright? So you get that. The line's already put that hole in there for your servos to go in. You just drop that in there. So let's put that right there. Pops right on out. And then I have my wires coming out right here. We got our motor coming in. So we're going to want to this wire like so. Let's see. Okay. Let's go to the other side and see if we get a little more distance. That way we don't have to run an extension. Just secure the wire. Okay, that'll get us up to our 3GX right here. There we go. Alright, so that's the way to go there. Alright, get our wires again pointing towards the back of the helicopter. You go through that little crevice there. Push the wires through, make sure they don't pop out the outside of the frames. Okay, slide that down. Get that in there. Boom, drops right in. Awesome. Alright, this time, right now, you can Loctite your motor mount. Okay? If you're ready to go, you feel like you're ready, you can Loctite these. What I'll do is for myself, I'm going to just tighten these up so my screws are out of the way. Get one in there, and then what I'll do is I'll get some Loctite going. Just a dab. Very slight amount there. Take that in. Alright. Back this one out real quick. Alright. Alright. Ready to go fly this thing here. Got a rotor head. Got all our servos in place. Our wiring. Need to still tighten the pinion, which we'll go ahead and do that. We'll take a look at that right now. So you're done with this. Take a look at that. And then we can secure some of our wiring right now. Actually, while things are open, it's easy to get into. I'm gonna grab some of these zip ties that are included with your kit. Okay. Shorty would be nice right now. Let's see. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead and put a zip tie here because it's easy access right now. Main gear's out of the way. Get this servo wire. Okay, you have your 3 motor wires kind of pushing on the wire. Pull that out, pull that through. And you want to keep that so it stays away from the main gear and also stays away from pinion and so on and so forth there. So to tie that down, we got that. And take care of that business. Alright, so now we have our wiring. It's all tucked up. Our wiring's all internal. Okay? I don't have to mess around with any of this. Actually, these wires are so long on this side, theoretically we can just back these out so that way everything comes from that one side. At least for all intents and purposes here. Get our hemos again. And we'll go There you go. Now you got all your wires on one side here, which is great. Okay, let's get that pinion. Let's take a look at that. Alright, we put the grub screws on initially. And let's go to this side. A little less going on. Let's see what we have here. Okay, and then let's see if we need the right size for this. Let's see if this is it. Let's try the next size down. Okay, tighten that pinion up, get it tight. Alright, we want it tight, and I didn't use Loctite. The reason I didn't use Loctite, because when that thing gets hot, your Loctite becomes lubricant. So, but what I did do, like I mentioned, was I left a gap. It's pretty hard to see it, but what I'd like to do is, let me see if I have something. I don't know, if you get your Velcro, not the fuzzy side, but if you look at basically this flat side here, I mean, that's pretty much the gap that you're going to see down below it. So, or let me see a zip tie. Just that way you have a visual reference that you can go without trying to get something to measure it. Basically, it's about the thickness of a zip tie that's included with your kit, the gap. Maybe a little less than that, but almost the thickness of this. So when you're looking at a zip tie, that's the gap you want to have there. As long as the motor is running on the bearing, the shaft itself, you're fine. But you don't want the pinion running on the inner race of the bearing. Okay, so with that said, that's done. Motor, servos are installed. We're at a good position right now to go into the next phase. We got our servo horns. We've already kind of pre-assembled those, and so far we don't have any wires making contact with the frame. The only part where there's any contacts with the plastic, and these have radiuses on them. All right, our motor's in place. Okay, we have this wire here. We're gonna see how we're gonna route that wire right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this up, take it along here. Bring it down. Again, we want to clear the battery tray because the battery tray is sliding in and out here. Again, we don't have our main shaft in yet. What we want to do is we'll secure this. We'll get this going here. And let's get some of them zip ties. Without the main shaft in place and the main gear, it makes it a lot easier to get in and install this. So we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to put a zip tie right here. There's actually holes in the frame for you, so you can route your wire. And it's a lot easier to do it now than wait till you actually have the main gear in place. Let me turn it towards you. If you have big hands, needle nose, hemostats, we're great for this. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to get that, put that on the side of the frames here. Get it tight. Or should I say, moderately snug, not too snug. I don't want to crush the wire too much. Again, up here in the front, you want to keep this, it's got to be able to go below the bearing block, but yet clear the battery tray from sliding in and out. So again, there's there's actually holes in the frame for you to utilize zip ties. Pull that through. Goes down through here. Okay. Give yourself slack again, because the bearing block's going to go right here. I shouldn't say bearing block, but rather the auto rotation gear. Okay, so that's going right there. And the next thing we need to do is, where's those extensions that I had? Utilize one of the extensions here. Now we have the step down, which may work, but let's see. Maybe not. Let me try. Oh, here we go. Here's an extension here. Okay. There's an extension that's supplied with your kit. And plug in the reg. I'm going to go ahead and start that off from over here. So again, try to get all my wiring routed from one side, keep it clean, all inside the frame, so you don't have to see any wires. Okay, and this guy right here, we'll plug this in for our rudder. Okay. And what I'll do here is I'm going to secure this on the inside there so it doesn't get jostled or pulled free. So this extension right here, I'm going to literally put a zip tie. And let's see here. Let me see where I can see this here. Pretty difficult, this little zip tie. Not a problem though. Alright, so we got all our wires, I don't know if you can see in there, but they're all tucked away inside the frame. And we have zip ties securing them to the frame so they can't drop down into our battery location. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of excess right here, just in case we need to disconnect the tail servo for maintenance, for setup, or what have you. So just a little bit, alright? And then tighten that up. There we go. Alright, and then let's go like that. Alright, so now we got our servos all mapped out inside the frames. We have all of our wiring right here. The only wiring that's not here right now is from the speed control. So we have one extension that they're provided, Alliance provided us, and then we can put our speed control up here. Okay, so we'll get to that part later on. Let's finish up the assembly process here now. And now that we have all the servos in place, let's look at the actual cyclic assembly here for the elevator arms and so forth. Alright, so let's get this going here. Alright. Some pan screws on the outset here. There's the inner arm. Put that there. Put that here. Washer just popped off. Let's see. Alright, a spacer. Alright, so now we're going to need some screws. And for this assembly, we're going to need some 3x6s, those two 3x6s, and then we're also going to need some 3x8. Let's see what we have here. 3x8. Alright, and that's going to go in the bottom of here. Let's go ahead and take this off first. We're going to disassemble this. Again, Alliance assembled it so that way we can ensure that all the parts are present, but we do need to disassemble and then reassemble this part here. We'll pull this out. We're going to get our 3x8, stick this up in here. Get a wrench for this. Okay, that goes up through here, and then you're going to want, let's see, the shorter one. It's bigger, the hole here, and that's the one you're going to want to go on this screw here. I'm going to screw this all the way down. Okay. Okay, that's that. Alright, now we're going to need to put our balls on the inner assembly here. We're going to utilize these shorter balls. And when you look at your assembly manual, you'll be looking at page 11 for this. And let's go ahead and start this process. Get some Loctite on here. Okay, when you're looking at this assembly here, there's basically two holes and then there's like a washer here. The outer hole, if you consult your manual is for the fly bar system. The inner hole is for fly bar less. So let me go ahead and move this to the inner hole because we're going to be using fly bar less. Pop that out, insert that. Okay, so that's that. And then we have our washers there. Okay, so that's this arm here. And now when we reinstall this A-arm, we're going to go ahead and put this here. And get the Loctite. Let's get that with the pan screws here. So the elevator arm goes in here. Get some Loctite on the side while I'm at it. Okay. Alright. Just get it started. Both sides. Make sure you don't get any Loctite in your bearing. Okay, tighten that up. Let's turn the helicopter around here. Okay, let's go ahead and insert this in the frame here. The shaft. Also on this, these balls here, forgot to check this. There's a short and a long. On the elevator arm here, we need to use the long arm. Sorry about that. So let's make sure we use the long ball links for the elevator arm. Okay, so put that there. Make sure we get the thread started correctly. Okay. Alright, let's insert the shaft here. Okay, let's pull you up, pull that up. Alright, these large aluminum spacers go on both sides of the frame. It's going to want to drop 3, so we're good for right now. And then we have these arms here that'll face forward like this, and go ahead and get these going. Some Loctite here. We're using the shorter balls for the outside arms here. Alright. Build opposites here. The ball, the 2 balls, side with 2 balls, faces the outside from the helicopter. So we want to make sure we have 2 of those like so. And okay, and just like we talked about inner hole, outer hole deal out there, the outermost hole is for flybar and the inner hole is for flybar less. Again, the outer hole is for flybar and the inner hole is for flybar less. Okay, our balls are facing outside, and what I mean by outside is it's facing outward. So when it's on the frame here, it will be facing out like this. The other ball, which is the inner ball that we're going to stick on right now, faces the inside towards the swash plate. When the link goes up to the swash, you do that there. And there are a number of shims that are provided you in the kit. Okay, so that goes like this, faces forward. Okay, and then there's these shims here. Different thicknesses and so forth there. Okay. Alright, so these shims can be utilized on the inside here. This. Thick, thin. Put that there. And then there's a small washer and a this pan screw. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get it started on this side. Let's see. Hold on 1 second here. Alright, so we have the washer on there, and put a little bit of Loctite there. We'll go ahead and hold that away from the bearing, tighten that down. Okay, let's go to the other side of the frame. So, balls on the inside here, facing the swash. Outer balls are outside here, okay, facing outward. Alright, let's do that again. Put the large spacer here, thick and thin washer right here, that goes there. We need to put the small ball facing the inside, away from the two other balls. And again, we're utilizing the inner hole for flybar lifts. Okay, that's that. There are two shims, thin and thick. Put that on there. And then what we need to do is check it out. Alright, right now it's too much. We don't necessarily need all the shims. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull one of the shims off. Let's see. Popped one of those out right there. We flush. I need to pull a thin from the other side. So let me see. Let's try this out. Alright, let's pull that off. Okay, we have a thin, thick. Let's try the two thicks and see how that works. And the reason why we're doing that is we don't want to crush the bearing. Okay. So I just want to use the thick. Move the thin on the side. And then we'll go like that, go through. It's a little much. So I'm going to lose the thick, go to the thin. So I got a thick and a thin here, okay? And that seems to match up much better. Okay, put a little Loctite on this side now that I'm happy with the fit. So you want to make sure that when you tighten this up, there's no loading on the bearing. They're very free. There's no notchiness. If you over tighten it and you put too much pressure on that bearing, you'll make it have drag, and you want it to be nice and free here. Okay, so make sure that they're nice and free here. It's right on that inner race. Okay, and this will set up the position once we get the swash in place. And we'll get that centered up to the main shaft. Okay. Alright, so we have that all built up, and here's the washers we didn't use. Okay. Now what we're going to do is make some links. Alright, we have these two short links. We have the two 10mm pieces here, and we're going to utilize these rods with the smaller diameter hole here. Let's go ahead and turn that so that's not getting messed up. And what we're going to do is grab it towards the center as best you can. Start that. Okay. And let's get the other one here. And these will be going from the arm that we just built, the elevator arm, and going directly to your servo horn. We'll pop it on the servo horn and get it inside of there. You'll basically, let me see, once I get this here on there, I'll show you. The A1 will be facing the servo, facing away from the servo, and then the other will be facing the opposite direction. So A will be on one side of this and the other. So one's going to pop on because the servo, the ball's on the back, so A's facing away towards the servo, and then the other one that's popping onto the ball, that's right here, is going to be pushing on this way, so you want the A this way. So they're opposing each other. Okay, alright, let's see. And we want this to be 35mm. So let's pull this out. 35 mil. Use this. Get us. Okay, 35mm. Double check. Alright, let's see where we're at here. It says we need a 2mm gap, approximately. Let's take a look, see what we have here. Okay, that's really almost there. Okay. Alright, there we go. Let's do one more here. Okay, 35. There's those two there. Okay, so what I'm going to do these on A facing up. Pop this on. I'm going to pop this one on here. And we're going to get inside the frame here. Let's see. Again, so now that we're inside the frame here, we want that A facing towards us when we're holding the helicopter as we are right now. And then we're going to put that on top of the ball there. Get our ball link pliers here. Alright, so we got our ball on there. Ball link on the ball. Push this down. Let's go up. Okay. Alright, so I have the ball links attached to the servo horn. And again, before I press these on, I want to make sure my servos are 90, sticks are, or my throttle slash pitch is basically zeroed out, mid stick 50%, and then what I'll do is I'll get all this stuff 90 from that point. But you know, this will give you a good idea where you're at. Take a look at the servo location and make sure that we're on point as far as our distance between the center point and our rod lengths here. So I'm checking that out right now as we speak. And it looks like probably could go in one turn. Alright. We'll adjust both of these. Pop that other one off. I'll make the adjustment real quick. Better now than later on when you're all excited and want to get going flying. Make these adjustments now. That's why you don't want to just pop them on and not think about what it is that you're doing. So that's another thing, you know, as far as the, you know, the way that we're assembling the helicopter. I know a lot of other machines, the servos are not utilized till the very last point, and you know, this gives you the opportunity to plan out your wiring, view your links to make sure that they're to length, the length that you're going to need, and that way, you know, it just works out, and that way everything's mechanically adjusted, so that way when you do go for setting it up and getting everything 90'd out, you know, you're going to have a lot easier time with your radio because you're mechanically set up correctly from the get-go. So let me... Okay, it's right there, but I needed to get it closer. I want it to be on. I don't want to preload. If you happen to just force them on, what you're doing is creating like a preload to the servo, and it's going to drain a lot of power from your battery each flight, due to the fact that, you know, the servos load it up. Okay. One. Okay. Okay, let me check my deal here. I think right now, with the way mine's going, I'm close to 34, so about a millimeter. The approximation in the manual says 35, so it's really close, within a millimeter. I'm just making those fine, minute adjustments, so that way, depending on your servo that you're using, because different servos have different center points, and that's why it says approximate. So you know, you have a good idea where you should be at. So let me pull this way. Reach in there. Alright, let's see how close or far we are. I'm hoping we're dead on, which we are. Alright, so we're on there. Again, I'm not going to put the screw in due to the fact that I want to get that 90. But that's on. We've got all our servos in place there. And I'm sure right now we're going to do some more links. So let's get ready to do some links. Alright. Put this aside, these washers. These are extras. For links, we need pliers, balling pliers, our links, and we're going to need some caps and so forth. 4 of those. Alright, let's open this up. Alright, for this next purpose, the manual calls out for epoxy type glue, okay, for inserting these ends here. And in order to speed the process, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use Fix CA, but it is recommended to use the epoxy, 2-part epoxy, 30-minute epoxy for this process. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my CA over here, and I'm going to press these rods. Try not to get the CA all over your hand. Alright. And put it on the rod itself. And we'll do this. That there. Clean the excess off. Okay. And then we'll put some CA on this side. Okay, press that on. See how that looks. Push that down in there. If you don't, and that's why the manual calls out for epoxy. So you have a little time to take a look, check, double check, and make sure that everything is as it should be. Alright, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we put our rods in here. Okay. Our harness are going to go something like that, just so you can see. And go on there like so. And these face forward. Let's get these started. The links there. And as far as our dimensions, we want to be at 97.5. Basically between these 2 points here. So let me pull out my caliper here. And measuring tool. 97.5. Okay, and let me check something else out here. Okay, and then from ball to ball, that'll put us right around 130. Center to center, it's right about 130, about 131. Probably a good number there. Let's go ahead and do this. Alright, that'll pop on like so, and then that will come here. like that. Leave that one hanging for a moment. Yeah, so this is the kind of the I won't say tedious part, but it's the part when you're building helicopters, when you're doing your links, that's your kind of like, I want to fly, I want to get going. But make sure you take your time. Ensure the measurements are as accurate as possible, because you don't want any differential by having one rod that's shorter than another, you know, causing you some other issues that, you know, as far as torque and centering and so forth. So make sure you go through the process and make sure you make it as accurate as possible, your links, and you'll be real happy with the result. Because you'll get in the air a lot faster, flying, and just getting your helicopter set up to the way you want it to fly. Okay. Check that one more time there. Okay. See if I can read that one. Okay, pop that one off. Again, always make sure the A is facing outward. Okay, that's that. Do this side now. And if your hands get tired from doing this, just, you know, step away, grab yourself a drink, a snack. If you got your buddies hanging out with you doing your build, your TREX 700, you could get one of them to help you out. Alright. It's only about 3 more rods to do there. Then we're almost done with rods. We got a few links to still screw on, like on the tail. You know, we have 2 ball links to add to that equation. But you know, we're really close on the assembly here. Let's see. Good deal. Let's do this one. Actually, let me use my bowling player. It'll be easier. So as far as the assembly process so far, again, we're utilizing the manual. This is, again, a supplemental video to the manual, give you a visual representation of the assembly process. Right now we're at page 12 of the manual here, doing our linkage rods, finishing up our servo installation, and from here, after this, you know, we'll have the boom and the tail mount and a couple other things, and then it's pretty much a done deal as far as the assembly. But we're close, but we're not done. But we're really close, so hang in there. Just got a little bit more to do, and we'll be ready to head on out and head to the flying field. So, you know, when you're building yours, again, give yourself that extra time, you know, kind of enjoy the build and see what's going on as far as what's needed, what you need. And you can see again that very basic tools, simple Allen wrenches, you know, I got my line balling pliers, a little rag to wipe down your stuff. We're going to probably need some oil or some sort of lubricant for when we get to the boom part. We'll get into that. Got a couple more links here, and we're going to be finishing up here. But yeah, I think you'll find it very easy, you know, to do this. I hope that when you get yours, you have a lot of fun and excitement, because the 700 opens up a whole other envelope of power and performance that you might not see in some of your other helicopters that you've flown. These are the balls that are going to go from these arms here on up to the swash. So, get you a measurement right now. These ball links leading up to the swash are 39.5 millimeters. So let's take a look. Okay. Alright, so these bands going to go on the swash plate. A is going to be facing this way, like that. So we'll pop this on. A is facing the carbon frame. And this one's facing out. It's going to go on the swash. And let's do this side here. Alright. Okay. Okay. Again, A's facing out. Alright, at this point, pull out the main gear. There we go, guys. Alright, we're gonna get this main gear out. Another new feature of the TREX 700 V2 here, E version. Pop this out. Alright, unless you're familiar with handling sprag bearings, and you want to lube this up, and again, if you don't have experience messing with sprag bearings, leave the sleeve in place. Otherwise you have to disassembly to get grease in there. Put grease on there, kind of work it in and out like that from the top side, and you can do the same on the bottom. Put some on the bottom here. And then just twist it and move it up and down. But don't pull the sleeve out of this retainer. Now if you're experienced with sprag bearings, you know, go on ahead and do it. But if you're not, and you don't want to have to disassemble this housing in order to get it to go correctly, just do this and work the grease into the sprag. Sprag should already be greased from the factory, have grease in there, but if you want to put a little extra, you can do so by doing what I just did there. Alright? Don't worry about taking that apart. If you do take it apart and you happen to disassemble the sprag, it's easy to put back in, but if you haven't worked with sprag bearings, you can cause yourself a problem if you force the sleeve back into the sprag bearing. So again, don't take it all the way out. You can see the sprag inside there. Look at it. And again, you could get grease, come in this channel here, and just spread grease in there. But do not pull this all the way out. Just do that. That's going to be more than enough lubrication there for your sprag bearing. Okay, nice and free. Okay, you want to check these screws. You can check these here. Let me put this there. My blue wrench is here. Let's feel these. These have been Loctited. Check them though. Just check the feel. Try and pull back just a little bit. That's Loctited. Again, this part, you can leave that alone. Check the main gear. Check the stop gear as well. Make sure there's Loctite. Pull back, just check. That's fine. Alright, there's Loctite on those there, on this main gear. Alright. Again, reinsert this sleeve here. And if you can, put the bolt in now so you're not having to deal with it inside of the frame or when it's on the frame. Again, bigger hand people, makes it easier on you. Alright, so that's lined up. Let me pass a small one through it here. Okay, we'll put you, actually we'll put this right here. Okay, let's get it on the sleeve. Get everything set up. Alright, that goes there. Got all those fine washers that we had. We haven't looked at this guy in about an hour or two, huh? There's our beautiful rotor head, the new grip posts, grips. You got the one-piece center hub. This is included with your V2. You got this new helical gear that comes with it, standard. Also, you know, your helical pinion as well. So you got all these new features. Let's see what we're going to need for setting up the shim. I'm going to go for, let's see, I'm going to try the thick, one thick shim on the main shaft and guide this down. And let's see where we're at. Let's see. Okay, my sleeve should still be centered. What I want to do is make sure that that hole is directly through. Okay, let's double check that, like that. Side loaded just a tad. Okay, let me pull down on this. Push that up again. Alright, let's be careful here. Alright, when you're putting this bolt in here, make sure that you don't go in crooked or anything like that, and when it's going in, it should go in relatively easily. Might require a little bit of pushing, but you don't want it to torque up or down or anything like that. If it is, back the bolt out, take this off, the main shaft out, get that shim, put aside the thick one, and then let's go to the next thickest one. Let's go to a little bit thinner. And then we'll check that one and make sure that that shim is what we need. Okay. Oh, that's all right. Same thing again, we want to go in here, make sure that we're lining up. Appears that we are. Okay, let's try that bolt again. Make sure that we're lined up correctly here. Okay. Still a little thick, so I need to go to the next size here. Compare that to that one. Okay, and this is a step down from that. Okay, so we're gonna, to get that fit just what we want. We don't want it, again, we don't want it to drag on the bolt as it's being inserted. Got that lined up. Okay, I think that's the magic ticket there. That was we're able to push it through easily without a whole lot of stress on the thread. And when tightening this up, tighten it down and back it off about a half turn. The reason for doing that is to make sure you're not compressing that sleeve that is riding inside of your auto rotation unit. Okay, so put that there, put that there for right now. And so we can put that away. And then this guy goes here. And before we do this, we want to make sure this is lined up well. What we're going to do is we're going to put a little Loctite on this. Okay. Okay, now I want to make sure we're squared up here. This wash plate to the main shaft. Reason being is if you don't, what you can induce is a phasing adjustment or misalignment and cause some unwanted mix. Alright, let's turn that. Ooh, that's tight. Let me turn this. Need that 8 facing this way. Alright. So there we go. Pop that on. Okay. Alright, so now we got all the links. Got our main shaft tied into our lower main gear here, the helical gear. Nice and smooth. Okay. Very shortly here. Alright, stay tuned. Let's clean up. Again, my name's Jeff Fastbinder with Align. If you have any questions, need assistance in any way with your helicopter, make sure to send me an email at jeff@alignrcusa.com. Or if you want to see the latest and greatest of our new products, possible updates, firmware updates, make sure you check out www.align.com.tw. Alright, thank you so much, and hope that you continue to watch our videos.